It's been available for quite a while now, but in this review I'll be taking a look at the 2019 film Ad Astra. It's another 4K that has had a truly exceptional transfer. I expect this film has had mixed reactions all across the globe. It certainly is beautiful to look at, with a pretty good story, and very good performances from all those involved. The special effects are that good, they don't actually look like special effects, and the photography is exceptional. It's on a par with Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, but that should come as no surprise because the photographer on this, the cameraman, was Hoyte van Hoytema, and he of course was the cameraman on Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, so he brought much of his experience from that film to this production. Besides Interstellar, I think writer-director James Gray had some other influences that contributed to the story and look of this film. 2001: A Space Odyssey is clearly evident, and just like that historic film, it could be said that Ad Astra, which means to the stars, has some rather dull periods, but however dull anyone may find it, it is always good to look at. Event Horizon may also have been in the back of Gray's mind, most notably the sequence where a distress call is received and the rescue results in a rather unpleasant encounter with a rather angry primate. Other than that, the similarity of a commander going insane at a remote outpost, combined with the exposition via Brad Pitt's narration, does feel a bit like Apocalypse Now, and that film is indeed mentioned somewhere in the extras. I don't really want to give any of the plot away, but I found this film a little difficult to follow on my first viewing, and therefore I did not fully appreciate it. I think I'd have benefited from knowing the basis of the story, and so to summarise, it is about a father and son, both astronauts, and both determined to do their jobs to the best of their abilities. The father, played by Tommy Lee Jones, led the Lima mission to the edge of the solar system, where the influence and interference from the sun's heliosphere is at a minimum, to train equipment on the stars to search for extraterrestrial intelligent life. This appears to have sent him a little over the edge, and things went awry. He and the entire crew of his mission are presumed dead, but when antimatter surges from the orbit of Neptune start to wreak havoc on Earth, the father is then believed to still be alive and responsible. The son, Roy, is played by Brad Pitt, and he is asked to assist in stopping his father. Ultimately, Roy sets out for Neptune alone. It seems that his life has been on the path to this moment. He has always been a loner and careful not to let anyone get too close. Something successfully illustrated with flashbacks. His father had left when he was young and apparently didn't care that he had abandoned his family. So the story is about the lengths some people have to go to realise the most important thing in life is the people around them, and most importantly their loved ones. Roy comes to this realisation more successfully than his father, and as I said, if I'd have had this information before sitting down to watch the film that first time, I think I would have enjoyed it more. There are some outstanding action pieces in this. The opening with the International Space Antenna may seem completely unbelievable to most, but there have long been feasible possibilities for a space elevator using modern composite materials that will not collapse under their own weight, so I was rather impressed to see something like this in the film. The results of the antimatter surge that arrives just as Brad Pitt's character goes outside at the top of this tower is awe-inspiring to look at. But there are one or two other fantastic sequences that seem to serve little purpose except to showcase the mastery of the filmmakers, and there can be little doubt that they succeeded. A moon buggy chase across the lunar surface is amazing to look at, but I don't really know what point it served. Pirates on the moon in 100 years' time seems rather unlikely to me. Likewise, swimming through an underground water reservoir or pipeline on Mars to stow away on a rocket destined for Neptune without being apprehended also seems implausible. And finally, the spacecraft that is boarded en route to Mars after a distress call is received seems superfluous, except to kill off one of the characters and add a bit of Event Horizon into proceedings. Whatever, these sequences all look spectacular, so perhaps just be prepared that this movie may not be entirely what you expect. One other thing that I think is worth mentioning is after the sequence where Roy skydives from the space antenna, rescuers come to get Roy and it is seen from Roy's perspective. There is a very similar scene towards the end of the film, so see if you can take that in on a single viewing and see if it enhances your enjoyment of the film, because I completely missed it first time around. The film runs for just over 2 hours and has a screen ratio of 2.39 to 1. Sound is Dolby Atmos on the 4K disc and DTS-HD on the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray doesn't look quite as good as the 4K, but it is still excellent quality, and as it was a 2K release to cinemas, this suggests it is the HDR of the 4K making the difference again. It was shot on 35mm however, Super 35 apparently, and the end result is that this disc projects to look just like a film print. The fine grain is beautiful to look at and entirely suitable for an artistic film of this kind. The sound is sensational. I particularly like the narrative from Brad Pitt, which emanated from every speaker in the room and really was quite spine-tingling at times. The end result is that I think Ad Astra is a much better film than I thought it was initially. Much better. And with the little that I've given away here, I hope you have got a greater chance of fully understanding it and therefore enjoying the film a lot more than I did first time around. There are several extras on the Blu-ray with just a commentary by the director on the 4K disc. It is another film that I found benefited from watching the extras after the film and then going through the film again. Perhaps I should have watched the extras first, because initially I felt it was lacking something, but after the extras and the second viewing I enjoyed it much more. So much so that I consider it to be well worth a recommendation. Add to that the excellent image and fabulous sound, and I think that we have another very good 4K release here, even though it apparently came from the 2K master. Despite this, its 35mm origins are still obvious, and it is another 4K that will get the very best out of your home system. Now, before we conclude, I thought I'd mention a couple of other films that we've been watching lately that I think are well worth a look. The Lodge 2019, which we purchased on Blu-ray from Germany. English sound, thankfully, after seeing the Project Ellsworth review some time ago. A very good review that convinced me I needed to see this film, so I'll leave the link down below to Mr. Ellsworth's review, although be prepared, because John Ellsworth is an exuberant personality and always a lot of fun. The Lodge is a psychological thriller rather than a horror film, so don't be fooled. 2 children and a soon-to-be stepmother trapped in by snow at a remote lodge creates a constrained atmosphere that works really well. Another one, The Invisible Man 2020, after another Project Ellsworth review, but also John Perry at Mondo Celovec Movies. John is another trusted source for what is a good 4K or Blu-ray release. More thought-provoking movie watching with this one, and just like The Lodge, you have to stay alert to all the little nuances so you can foresee what is coming. Both Project Ellsworth and Mondo Celovec Movies are worth subscribing to, and also Keith at Euphoria Pictures, who I mentioned in my Superman review, and who I'm currently working on to create something special for the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because he has a love of those films and a fabulous Lord of the Rings collection. And one last film that I'll recommend this time, which had a retrospective in Cinema Retro magazine recently, is the 1966 film Grand Prix. This was shot in 65mm, and just like 2001 A Space Odyssey, it was shown at Cinerama theatres. As a result, this Blu-ray is exceptional quality, and I found the film hugely entertaining too. How they managed to get action camera-like shots from the race cars in 1966 is a bit of a mystery to me. It's 3 hours long, has the lead-in and interval music, and I got it from HMV in their 2 for £15 offer. Amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and perhaps consider subscribing so I'll be encouraged to create similar content again in the future. Until the next time, bye bye for now.